This is Philippians 3, starting at verse 8. Yeah, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahushua, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach, and be found in him, not having my own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, by the righteousness which is of power, by faith, that I may know him, and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I may attain unto the resurrection of the dead, not as though I had already attained, I were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehending of Hamashiach Yahushua. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of power in Hamashiach Yahushua. First, I want to say, Call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Like Apostle Paul says in verse 8, I count everything outside of this shoot dung. Because right now the hopeful elect's goal is to win Yahushua Mashiach, is to gain salvation, attain salvation, and, press towards that higher calling that Yahweh Hashem sent us, to do, whether that be preaching, teaching, doing videos, being on the highways and hedges, or maybe it's just helping out the ministry by reposting videos, liking videos, sharing videos, and then ultimately transforming your mind and renewing your mind every day, putting off that old man and putting on that new man, so we could be found spotless and blameless when Yahushua makes his second return, so that we can receive salvation. Lord willing, we be a part of that number to receive salvation. This is Matthew 13, starting at verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? So the disciples were asking Yahushua, why do you speak to the masses in parables, but to us you speak plainly? And Yahushua answered this in verse 11. He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. So basically, Yahushua doesn't want the masses to get the understanding, because the understanding is only given to the elect of Israel. Is only given to the elect. Those who were predestined for salvation in the beginning by Yahweh Shemashah. It wasn't given to the whole world to understand these scriptures, because Yahweh Shemashah doesn't want the whole world to understand the scriptures. He only wants the elect to understand it. Because basically, 2/3 of our own people are undesirables unto Yahweh Shemashah. They're not going to make it at the end. But the 1/3, the hopeful elect, the 144,000 men prophet, and the rest of the 1/3 of men, women, and children, they'll make it, because Yahweh Shemashah allowed them to get the understanding of the scriptures. And that's why, everything outside of this truth is dung, because this truth is so precious. It's not given unto everyone to understand of the truth. I'll go to Mark 4, verse 11. This is how Shah speaking. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of power. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them. So Yahweh Shah doesn't want 2/3 of our people to understand the truth, because Yahweh Shah wants to judge the 2/3. He preserves the wicked until all the way to the day of judgment, as it says in the scriptures. So the fact that we have this truth is a blessing in itself, because, we have a chance at salvation, by knowing the truth of the scriptures, because Yahweh Shai opened our minds to it and is supping with us to allow us to, gain understanding with these scriptures and of these scriptures. This is John 17, starting at verse 6. This is Yahweh Shai speaking, red letter. Verse 6, I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word. So Yahweh Shai manifested his name unto his hopeful elect. So that's how we know we have the true names. And also, according to Zephaniah 3, verse 9, we will be returned a pure language unto us. The Lord Yahweh Shai will return a pure language unto us, so we can actually call on this name. So we know we have the true names right now. And those true names are Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Verse 7, now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee. For I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me. So we believe that Yahweh sent Yahweh Shai on the earth, to die for the nation of Israel, die for the sins of Israel, starting with the elect. Verse 9, this is key, verse 9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. So Yahweh Shai himself doesn't even pray for the world. He only prays for the hopeful elect, because that's who he really sacrificed himself for. Yeah, all of Israel was saved through Yahweh Shai Mashiach's sacrifice, but Yahweh Shai really sacrificed himself, really just for the elect, to save his elect, those who were predestined for salvation, in the beginning. And that's why this shoot is so precious, because if you're in this shoot, you have a chance of being of that elect, of being of that number. And, Lord willing, we be of that number. So it's like, hey, everything outside this shoot is counted as dung, because, you're blessed to be in this position to even, be able to understand this shoot and have a chance at salvation. This is Hebrews 4, starting at verse 1. Let us therefore fear, lest a promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. So the word being preached, this gospel of Yahweh Shai being preached unto some people, the 2/3, they weren't mixed with faith. Some of them fell out the chute and, lost their patience because, they weren't mixed in with faith. They really didn't believe for real. You gotta make sure you have faith in this thing. Faith in Yahweh Shai that these prophecies will come to pass, and that these promises will come. You just have to be patient and endure to the end, like Yahweh Mashiach said. So We must continue to do the work of Yahweh Shemashai and have faith in it. Because if we don't have faith, then we're not going to be able to enter into our rest and not receive salvation. Verse 3, for we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said, as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world. For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and power did rest the seventh day from all his works. And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached enter not in because of unbelief. So 2/3, they preached the truth of Yahweh Shah, but they didn't enter in to the rest because they didn't have faith. They didn't believe. Verse 7, again, he limited a certain day, saying in David, today, after so long a time, as it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For if Yahweh Shai had given them rest, then he would not afterward have spoken of another day. There remained therefore rest to the people of power. For he that is entered into his rest, he also ceased from his own works, as power did from his. Let us labor therefore to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. So as a hopeful elect, we gotta be mixed in with faith while doing this work and while believing in this doctrine. Because you must endure to the end. And as it says in the scriptures, in your patience, roughly paraphrasing, in your patience possess ye your souls. So you got to be patient, and have faith and wait on Yahweh B'Shem Shai and not fall out of this thing. Because there's nothing to go back to, and there's nothing in the world to go back to. The world is just death and destruction. But staying with Yahweh B'Shem Shai, you're going to receive life and immortality and righteousness. This is Ecclesiasticus, verse 39, starting at verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. So the hopeful elect, when they're in this shoot, they'll be, studying and looking back at the history, and they'll be occupied in prophecies. That's what's going on in the world today, and how is it lining up with scriptures, Verse 2, he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. So we're going to be able to understand the sayings and the mysteries in the scriptures that we once didn't know how to understand when we are in the world. But now, under the teachings of Great Millstone, apostles and elders and down, we're able to be taught these scriptures, understand the dark parables, the dark sayings, and now we're able to teach them as well. So we can edify the sheep, as well, and feed the sheep, to get them prepared for these end days to come, to get them prepared for Yahweh Shai HaMashiach's second return. This is Matthew 6, verse 33. This is Yahweh Shai speaking. But seek ye first the kingdom of power and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So all these things that we have forsaken in the world will be added unto us, in the kingdom. Because and when Peter asked Yahweh Shai, what shall we have therefore, because we have forsaken all and followed thee? And Yahweh Shai replied to Peter, roughly paraphrasing, those who forsake houses, brethren, wives, children, sister, mother, father, all those things, you have forsaken all those things, you will receive 100-fold and inherit everlasting life. So everything we lose, everything we forsake in this life to seek the kingdom and righteousness of Yahweh Shai, we'll get back and a hundredfold and some more. And on top of that, we'll have everlasting life, immortality, and we'll have, rulership. We'll over all the other heathen nations. And then, we'll have, for men, we have multiple wives, and they're in order, and we'll basically inherit the universe. All things will be added unto us for following Yahushua Mashiach and forsaking all things in this world. This is second Esdras 8, verse 51. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yes, perfect goodness and wisdom. So Yahushua Hamashiach, Yahushua Hamashiach tells us in the scriptures that he has a place prepared for us. He has a place prepared for us. Many mansions that he has for us, for the hopeful elect. Lord willing, we be at that number. Verse 53, the root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. So we've forgotten the ways of evil, and we put off the ways of evil. We put off the ways of corruption. We put off the ways of this world, the thinking and the ideologies of this world. And we are transforming and renewing our mind to think more like Yahweh Shem Shai, putting on that new man, and killing that old man daily. Next verse 54, sorrows are past, and in the end it showed the treasure of immortality. So on top of that, all the things we're going to receive immortality. We'll never have to die again. While all the heathen nations, they have to keep dying and reincarnating and being that weak flesh. But for the Israelites, starting with the elect of Israel, remember, we're going to have immortality, and we won't have pain again, suffering again. We won't have nothing to worry about ever again for eternity. And man, we're so close to that. We're so very close to that. So keep the faith and keep enduring. With that, I want to say, call Allah, all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect enduring in this truth. Enduring this truth and keep the faith till the end, because we're almost out of this place. We're almost out of our captivity. And Yahushua Mashiach's return is soon. Lord willing, I pray that was an edifying lesson. And with that, I want to say, Shalom.